Greetings ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho and this is Mob Reviews, and today we are going to look at Outpost. This was created by Highland Gaming and it is supposed to be, or let me restate that, it proclaims to be a hybrid RTS real-time strategy with some roguelike events or elements tied into it and chaos management. Let's just start off honestly and say that while it may be a hybrid accurately said, it does not mean it's good. So let's find out why that may be the case. The game is very simplistic in its art style and design, and that is very apparent given the option menus you do have available to you. Now the music in the game is actually done quite well. It sets the mood of a chaotic world in danger. It has a high tempo and a fast pace, and it plays out well. The sounds get loud and annoying rather fast, and it's really frustrating that you don't have a slider on that. Whether it be flames happening in your base that you need to extinguish, or monsters knocking on your door, they are really loud and just annoying. Now you do see there is a full screen option. I have played the game at 1920 by 1080 and it ran at 30 frames per second. 30. And I would like to say that there wasn't any tearing, but that wouldn't be a lie. There was tearing and clipping in the game, but that is overshadowed by the immense amounts of crashing that the game does have. The game definitely crashes a lot. So much to a point that I could easily say right now on the recommendational scale, no, without even getting into the game due to that fact alone. It is frustrating to say the least. So what is the game and why may it be frustrating? Well, we'll jump in here and find out. When we go in here, you do have a lot going on. The most obvious and easiest thing to talk about is the wheel bar at the top, which continuously shoots out spamming messages of stuff you should know or should be aware of. It doesn't help any, and it's just in the way. It doesn't do anything to help propel the game in any sort of dramatic fashion whatsoever. When we go over to the left, you can see a clock, so you have a ticking clock and a time score because it's supposed to have elements of a roguelike game. The roguelike game being how long can you survive. So I get the clock. I understand it might be a little annoying to some, like, ooh, a clock ticking, but it's a way to track your time. It would have been nice if you had the availability to hide it, but what are you gonna do? Now another annoying thing to note is that the conversational options or tutorial options in the game continuously pop up and there's no way to disable them. You can have played the game 6 times through and they still pop up every time you select a new game. There's not a lot of options either, as the current game only has 3 different levels, but the level design really isn't anything all that amazing. And when we go back to the UI, as you can see on the left side, the different toolbars and sliders come into your energy. The way it is it's supposed to be a base management style game, and you need to manage how much energy you have, whether it be putting it into the heater systems because at nighttime it gets really cold and your minions will freeze, and if they freeze they'll get hurt, so you'll waste supplies on healing them in the medbay, or they'll just outright die from hypothermia. But it's one more thing to keep track of in the organizational side, and it's this bits of annoyance. Now you do have to put energy from the generators continuously into the heater. This is the future, but apparently having a thermometer is beyond them. And it goes to the same thing as the radio tower for the communications, because when you have enough power in a communications device, you're able to summon in a mining drone. And there's no building option actually available in the game. It's very simplistic in the fact that you have an unlimited amount of energy that you continuously have to re-click on your radio and your heater in order to keep these activated. Now this wouldn't be an annoyance if it wasn't for all the other things in the game. The game wants to play as a chaos management, but that very statement by itself is flawed. Chaos is not meant to be controlled, it can be mitigated. And when you have all these sliders on the left side that need to be continuously pressed because you don't want the radio station to go out of communication, you don't want the heat to go down, you need to make sure that you have food and medicine in your kits and your kitchen. And then on top of that, you have to repair the base from any damage that it takes from storms or enemies during the nighttime. Zombies come at you at night. And then the day cycle is very small. And then on top of doing repairs, you have to put your units into the kitchen manually one by one. And you have to then manually put them into the medbay. There's not a sustainability option, which would have been a lot better and done a lot better if it had a sense of, hey, why don't we have a farm element integrated into the game where once the player has these resources, they're distributed among his people, he can focus more about defense and rogue elements of the game. The simplistic animational quality of the game makes it feel like something of an iPhone more than anything else. But the fact that you can't really die unless you completely lose your entire base and the entire game feels like it's just running on wheels, yes, congratulations, you managed to make it feel chaotic. But only because the game is so annoying or difficult to actually control, rather than it being challenging and relies on my skill to manage the situation or handle the proper situation I need to. In an RTS, a battle can become chaotic. If I am raising an army and I'm mining for supplies and I have enemies coming against me, I need to make sure my defenses are good. I have to manage the enemy, I have to look out what's going on. In this case, it just comes down to the fact that the interface of how you control your units is so annoying and so frustrating, on top of the fact that then it pushes you to have to do exploration in order to find things in the world. Just looks pretty weak for a computer game. Like I said, this is something you would definitely expect to see more on an iPhone game, and it's really just sad. There aren't that many levels in the game, and the level design is all fairly similar. There's a lot of issues when it comes to exploring the actual elements of the world, because the elements of the world are hop over this water, but then you fall into the water, or dodge this. It's not exploration. It tries to tie in some sense of Mario danger, rather than just letting the player explore, or letting the player build a base and worry about an enemy. The balance in this game is off horribly. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't become a game with roguelike elements. It doesn't become a game that's, oh wow, this could be entertaining. Yeah, you have the availability if you play long enough and the game doesn't crash on you, some upgrade options for your base, but it doesn't change the overall fact that you have to micromanage every single one of your units. That you have to make sure that they all have the proper food and they eat at the proper time and they get medicine. And you have to play around with all the energy bars. Oh, I want to put more energy into the radio so I can call a mining droid and get more money to do the exact same thing. Or I want to put my energy into heating. And then at the same time I have to use my hero and kill wildebeests to gain resources. Or I have to have somebody going from a supply depot to the generator back and forth continuously because some idiot decided that having built the supply room not adjacent to the energy room was a good idea. On top of then having the short burst time periods in between day and night, and where you again have to then fend off an army of undead, it doesn't have any elements of, oh wow, this is entertaining, or oh wow, I'm progressing. It has nothing more than annoyance, and I thought this game would be a bit more decent because it had a good baseline opportunity in what it could have been, but what it is definitely not what it could have been. Not even in the same ballpark. It is a complete disappointment, a complete waste of time, and not something I would recommend even if you had money and someone's like, hey, I need this money to disappear, do whatever you can. It doesn't make sense to waste it on this. It's just frustrating more than anything else. It's not balanced, it's not good. So no, I cannot recommend it and I will not recommend it. It's not enjoyable. It's a letdown. Thank you for watching. I've been SocioPsycho. I'll see you next time.